In this episode of The Truth Podcast, the host sits down with guest Zuby to discuss various topics, including the current state of anti-racism and anti-fascism movements, the need for incremental change, and the role of presidential candidates in speaking the truth. Zuby, an immigrant from the UK, shares his background growing up in Saudi Arabia and his journey as a rapper and social commentator. Zuby begins by expressing his concern that the anti-racists have become racist and the anti-fascists have become fascist and violent. He believes that there is a need for change, but questions whether it should be done incrementally or through a more radical approach. He acknowledges that the system is built to resist incremental change, but encourages individuals not to be held back by others. The conversation then delves into Zuby's background as an immigrant from the UK. He explains that he was born in England but moved to Saudi Arabia as a baby due to his father's job as a medical doctor. He grew up in an expat community surrounded by people from all over the world, which shielded him from experiencing or hearing about racism. However, he notes that there is a form of passportism in Gulf countries, where individuals with certain passports are treated differently than others. Zuby then discusses his career as a rapper, which began as a hobby during his first year of university. He released his first album at the age of 19 and gradually built an audience by selling his music independently. In 2011, he made the decision to become a full-time rapper and started his own company. He traveled extensively, selling his merchandise and gaining recognition for his music. The conversation takes a turn when Zuby discusses a viral tweet he posted in February 2019. The tweet criticized the inclusion of biological men identifying as women in women's sports. To prove his point, Zuby posted a video of himself breaking the British women's deadlift record. The tweet went viral, attracting the attention of media outlets and prominent figures such as Joe Rogan and Dave Rubin. This incident marked a turning point in Zuby's career, as he began to use his platform to share his views on society, culture, and politics. Zuby explains that his views have remained consistent throughout his career, focusing on truth, positivity, and personal growth. However, he acknowledges that his views have become more refined over time. He describes himself as leaning more libertarian on certain issues, such as drug policy, while becoming more conservative on others. He believes that the size and scope of the government should be limited, but recognizes the need for certain laws and regulations. The conversation then shifts to a discussion on the existence of systemic racism and the role of the free market in combating discrimination. Zuby and the host agree that free market capitalism is inherently anti-racist, as businesses that discriminate will be outcompete by those that do not. They also discuss the limitations of anti-discrimination policies and the potential for unintended consequences. The host raises the question of whether it is realistic to persuade people to adopt certain political positions. Zuby believes that most people are inherently conservative and do not like rapid and drastic change. He also argues that conservative policies have the advantage of being based on common sense and practicality, making them more appealing to the majority of people. However, he acknowledges the challenge of persuading others, particularly when certain positions can be easily caricatured or misunderstood. The conversation continues with a discussion on the role of leaders and the importance of telling the truth, even if it is unpopular. Zuby emphasizes the need for leaders to have their own vision and ideas while also representing the interests of the people. He believes that conservatives should focus on better communicating their ideas and the merits of their policies, as they have a natural advantage in terms of appealing to common sense and practicality. Zuby continues by highlighting the importance of family and marriage, emphasizing that absent fathers and broken homes are major problems in society. He argues that these issues are particularly prevalent in the United States and need to be addressed openly, despite the discomfort it may cause. Zuby commends the host for his willingness to discuss uncomfortable topics and engage with different perspectives. The conversation then shifts to the challenges of conservatism and the tension between advocating for conservative values while also pursuing radical change. Zuby describes himself as a progressive conservative and explains that his approach involves looking back at the principles on which the United States was founded and cutting off anything that is not aligned with those values. He argues that incremental reform is not sufficient and that a quantum leap is needed to address the systemic issues within the government and bureaucracy. Zuby acknowledges that his approach may be at odds with those who want to conserve the status quo, but he argues that when the things conservatives want to conserve no longer exist, radical change becomes necessary. He believes that the current system is resistant to incremental change and that a complete overhaul is needed to achieve the desired outcomes. The conversation then delves into the importance of communication and selling a vision to the public. Zuby notes that most people, regardless of their political leanings, want similar things such as safety, good schools, and the ability to pursue their dreams. He emphasizes the need for politicians to connect policies with the vision they are trying to achieve and explain how those policies will benefit individuals and communities. Zuby also discusses the rise of identity politics on both the left and the right and expresses concern about the adoption of methods from the opposing side. He warns against losing sight of the principles and values that underpin the fight for change and becoming the very thing one is fighting against. He believes that it is important to remember why one is fighting and to avoid losing sight of the ultimate goal. The conversation concludes with a discussion about the role of culture in shaping society. Zuby argues that conservatives made a mistake by abandoning culture, art, media, and music to the progressive left. He believes that there is now an opportunity for conservatives to reclaim these spaces and promote their values through different mediums. He also acknowledges the challenges posed by platforms like TikTok, which he views as a Chinese weapon, but recognizes the need to adapt and use these platforms to drive change. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe.